So you might think that you hate learning, but if you like gaming, then you actually love learning because as Ralph Koster put it in his book, A Theory of Fun, learning is just another word for fun. What you really hate is that schools never implemented any game design. In this video, I want to talk about how school is just like a game, how it's a bad game because it doesn't have any game design, and what it could look like in the future if game design was applied to it. So school is really just a game. So the kind of game that I'm talking about is a linear game. These games were really popular in the past whenever computers were a lot slower and they had a lot less resources. So what game designers had to do was that they had to make the most of what they had. And so what they had to do was plan every single step that a player could take. And there was only one path, that's why it's called linear. And the player could only progress step by step. And every single player that played the game would have the same exact experience. This is why I say that school is a game, because it has a very similar experience where everybody has to go on the same path, have the same experience, progress step by step at the same rate as everybody else. And this is why school is essentially the same as a game. And so if you think that you hate learning, what you actually hate is that school, where you did most of your learning, was just a bad game. So here are some examples of some techniques that they never implemented in the design that a lot of games use now. Firstly, most games want you to finish the game, right? So what they do is they try to make the game not feel too hard or too easy, because if it's too hard, then you'll give up, and if it's too easy, you'll get bored, and then you'll also give up. But schools don't really factor this at all. It's really just one difficulty level. If school is too easy, they force you to just wait for everybody else to catch up, and if it's too hard, then you're left behind. Any normal person playing a game like this would obviously get bored or give up and stop playing the game, and that's kind of what we see with school. A lot of people checking out. Secondly, schools only cater to one playstyle, which is competition. They force everybody to play the game in the exact same way, which is everybody has to compete against everybody else. In games, they factor in that people like to play it their way. Some people like to craft stuff, some people like to design their characters, some people like to collect, and there are definitely some that like to compete. But the thing is about these games is that you can play all different kinds of play styles. And lastly, the story is just really boring. Everybody has the same exact story of get good grades, go to a good college, get a job, and then retire. It's the same story for every single person, and everything is just planned out for you. And it just removes the sense of adventure. It makes everything impersonal. It's no wonder that students just get burnt out, and then when they get older, they have midlife crises. But I think with some good game design, I think that learning can be fun. To understand what I mean, we can look at how games have changed since the days of the linear game. So with computers getting more memory and getting a lot faster, game developers started to implement this technique called streaming, where instead of loading the entire game, they would just load the game or parts of the game that was directly needed by the player. And then they would offload the parts that were not needed. And what this created was a more open world experience where they could just explore and do whatever they wanted. So using a similar technique, we could turn the linear experience of learning into an open world experience. The way that we would do this is to first create a system that adapts to the student's needs, and then put it on the internet so that we can make infinite copies of it so that every student can have their own, where they can personalize it. This frees them from having to adapt to one system so that every student can then go and pursue their own curiosities. And instead of having everyone on one track, on one story, each person will be able to pursue their own adventure and be the hero of their own story.